This video is all about how Saturn broke me during its transit through Pisces and what I've done to build a life where I actually feel safe again. You see, the thing is, when Saturn goes into any sign, the initial steps of that is let's test the stability of things here. Let's test how long lasting things are. And for me, that was in my 6th house, which was all about pets, daily work and routines, daily rituals, your the way you serve in your work, your business, that sort of stuff. And let me just say, over the last 2 years, that has well and truly been tested. Now, we are currently about to go into Saturn in Aries. This is just a little preview window we're going to get between May the 24th, 25th, depending on where you are in the world, till around September the 1st. Again, depending on where you are in the world. At that point, he's going to retrograde back into Pisces, where he'll do his final sweep through that area of your life, making us look back, and then he'll go forward again towards Aries for the next 2 years. He will be in Aries. So that little preview window is really, really important because it gives you the themes of what the next 2 years are going to be like, how they're going to play out. Now, if you're aware of it and you're watching this video, then you're able to say, okay, when Saturn goes into Aries, I can start paying attention to what is actually happening in my life, start taking notes. With Saturn, it's all about testing your stability, testing how long lasting things are to make sure that things are built to last. Yeah. To make sure you've got structure, to make sure you've got boundaries, to make sure you're disciplined and you're taking responsibility for that area of your life. And that is basically what was being tested for me over the last 2 years while it was in Pisces. Now, the vibe is totally different from Saturn in Aries, which is bold, passionate, fiery, to Saturn in Pisces, which is all about being flexible, having flow, more emotionally driven, more intuitive, more let's just surrender and trust that everything's going to be okay. Yeah? Totally different vibe. So again, when you look at that, okay, you've got this sign that wants to surrender and flow and all this stuff. And you've got Pisces there saying, let's get boundaries, discipline and that. There's a little bit of a mismatch of energy there. However, you can still have the surrender and flow and all that stuff, but have boundaries and structures and all that in place and systems to help you. And that is, with Saturn, a lot of people think it's all about working hard and all that. And it is. It is. But it's about working smart more than just like, let's knock your pan in and burn out. Now, the thing with Pisces is it's very easy to get emotionally burnt out with Pisces energy. And that is exactly what I faced throughout the last 2 years, was emotional burnout, to the stage where it put me into survival mode. And I was basically frozen most of the time, because a little bit of something would have just triggered my nervous system. Now, I'm not saying I was sitting there like that the whole time. That is not the case. But it wasn't taking a lot to put me into that, okay, let's sit and daydream, let's escape the world, let's escape reality. Fair enough, it wasn't with substances, but it was very much in the, I was escaping reality by not doing work, by not doing the things that needed to be done, by not taking responsibility. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I didn't take any responsibility or anything like that, because that is not the case. I took more responsibility. But anyway, life before Saturn and Pisces was pretty good for me. I had stability, or so I thought. I had my 2 cats who I'd had since I'd left home, or left my parents' home. And I'd just bought a house. I just bought my house. Like, I'd been renting a property since then, and this was the first house that I'd been able to buy. So, and I had a partner. Again, I think that was definitely, I think I knew that things were rocky there, even at this stage, but I was very much holding on. Yeah, I was like the low vibe Scorpio, if you like. I was holding on for dear life at that point, to something. So that, you can tell, that was going to be tested throughout this 2 years. So in that initial window, that little 6 months preview, one of my cats developed hyperthyroidism, and one of the other cat developed cancer, and we got our surgery and we done all that stuff to try and extend our life. Again, I was probably gripping onto control for these cats as well, because they were that little bit of stability that I had in my life. And I didn't have a stable relationship really. Yes, I just bought my first home, which I thought would have been extremely long term and all that stuff. Well, it's still here, so it has been long term. But so they were in that preview window. In that preview window, my cats were tested, yeah. And I also had bought my first house. Now, at that point, I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, well, that's good. That's a long-term thing. I had consistent shifts coming in from the NHS, and I had consistent money coming in from my marketing agency, where I was doing marketing services for businesses. So I had money coming in, had a new house, had my two girls. They were sick, but everything looked like it was going to be okay at that point. Now, as soon as Saturn went into Pisces for good, that's when shit started to start to happen. The first thing is I lost one of my cats, yeah? Rosie, who was the younger one of the two, and not the one with cancer, because I think I would have been more prepared to have lost Bella because she had the cancer. So we knew we were just buying time with her. Whereas with Rosie, nothing else was wrong. She had an overactive thyroid, but that was it. And she was on medication for that. So we weren't expecting anything to go down with Rosie. And Rosie was the first cat to have passed away. And it was quite traumatic because she was having seizures and stuff like that on the last days of her life. So it was quite a tough time. Not getting much support from my partner at the time. So, because like I said, that was rocky even from then. Shouldn't have probably have been in that relationship, but we were. So I was holding on, yeah? And then all I knew what to do was to plow into work. Let's get clients, let's make security. Like at that point as well, the shifts were starting to dwindle. So my security was being tested there, yeah? My emotional security was being tested with that. After that, the clients started to increase. So I was like, good. I've got clients coming in. I've got my partner at the time, and I've got my home. I've got the roof over my head. We're all good. I've lost one of my girls, but we'll keep going. So fast forward a little bit, because the rest of the year was kind of like that. I had clients, I was doing the work, I was doing this, and I was doing the next thing. I was sustained. Things were stable again, yeah? Was there any flow? Was there any surrender and flow that Pisces would have been looking for? Absolutely not. There was none. It was very regimented. This is what we do. The only thing I was flowing with was not promoting my business because I had container clients. So I had completely stopped promoting my business. Again, Saturn, testing your systems, testing your long lastingness, and I had stopped promoting. Now, the other thing that was testing for me is there was weeks where I was working 60 hours. I was getting up at 7 in the morning. I was working right through till maybe 9, 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. Most days, to try and get work done, to try and deal with clients, to deal with this, to whatever. I did try and outsource stuff, but I was never ever happy with the results. So I thought, oh, well, I'm just as well doing it myself. So this is kind of standard Saturn now, yeah? You've got that little bit of emotional security being tested, or my emotions were tested, yeah? With it being in Pisces, my emotions were tested, and now the systems were being tested to see if they were sustainable. But basically, all that was happening throughout this time was my nervous system was being tested, yeah? Then I lost my second cat 6 months later in December, and that was, I think I was more prepared for that one, yeah? It didn't hit me as hard. It was still sad, don't get me wrong, but she had cancer, so for the last year I was kind of, right, we can expect this to happen. Yeah, it could happen anytime. We know we've just bought time. So again, my emotions were tested. I thought I was dealing with this one a little bit better. However, then a few months later, the relationship finally came to an end. And me being the Libra, the Libra rising even, sorry, that was, oh, it's okay, I'll look after you. You can stay here as long as you need. Yeah. Don't worry upset anything. Don't worry rock the boat. You take as long as you need. You can stay here. And I done that. Obviously, the scales became pretty imbalanced pretty quickly. And with that, I was in the situation where I had my ex living with me for 2 months. And during that whole time, it was like, let's just try again. And his attitude didn't really help, but let's just try again. Scorpio, trying to get to the bottom of things. Why did this not work out? Like, that was my moon sign. So why did this not work out? I want the truth. I want this. And I knew I didn't know the full truth. I knew I didn't know the full truth. And I'm not going to do that on camera here, tell the full truth. But all you need to know is there was something that was driving this, and I couldn't put my finger on it, but I could feel it. And then he left. And that was kind of the pivot. That was the breakdown moment. Yeah? I knew I couldn't go on like this. I didn't have the security now because I only had one wage coming in. And my wage wasn't secure because what later would transpire is I would start to get resentment from my clients because I was people pleasing for all of them. Didn't realize it at first because I had the relationship and I just thought this was work. But then I was like, wait a minute, I'm doing all this work. I'm not getting any extra income and things like that. And it was starting to really get to me. So again, systems were tested throughout this time. And it got to the stage where I was like, I need to put me first. I need to respect me. And me people pleasing all over the place for these clients is not respecting me. And either the clients get taken away from me or I got rid of the clients. And like I said, we weren't promoting, so we weren't taking on any more clients. So I literally got myself to this place where I was earning no money. And that was just before Christmas. I knew I would have a little bit of savings, a little bit of money to keep me going until Christmas. After then, it was like, okay, I don't really know what's going to happen. By this point, the shifts were like really, really low. But they did give me a little bit of extra security at this point. And at that point, I was like, right, I just need to chase clients. Once I get rid of all my clients, we just need to chase clients. We need to get more clients. We need to do this. We need to do this. So I'd done exactly what I'd done before. And there was a lot of resistance. Until I started getting astrology clients. And then it was free. It was nice. I felt like my Scorpio moon was really, really happy because it got to investigate people's charts and it got to do this. And I felt that was good. I really liked that. But I built this reputation of being the marketing salesperson, the person that can help your business. And I didn't really know how to merge the two together. And then Mars went retrograde. So I'm trying to rebuild my business now. Mars is retrograde in Leo, about to go back into Cancer, where emotional security is going to be the biggest thing for the next few months. Well, Saturn's continuously testing my boundaries, testing my stability, testing my emotions. And I was in freeze. Remember, fight, flight, freeze? I was in freeze. Even though I'm not saying I was sitting like this the whole time, but there was that freeze. Like when I was getting emotionally burnt out on my nervous system, instead of doing anything, I would sit and daydream, I would procrastinate. And then I had to rebuild this business from that. It really made me think, okay, I need to put me first. I need to pour into me, which when you're an outsider looking in, you're probably like, that's the most backward thing. Like, get your life sorted and then worry about yourself, worry about the relaxation. Whereas that is the mindset shift I had to have. I wanted to manifest this life of comfort, of security. And I was like, but up until this point, all I was doing was chasing money. Let's get clients, let's get this, let's get clients. And it's like anything. The more you chase something, the further it gets. Yeah. So I wasn't getting clients until I pivoted, until I said I'm doing astrology, until I said I found a way of working the both together, where we started talking about manifestation in astrology. And that's when my business started to pick back up. And that's when I started to go from getting letters through the door telling me I owed money, from being able to pay for these bills and get, I'm not debt free, but I'm definitely on the way to being debt free. And this is all the back of having a nervous system meltdown. So life has fell apart, and now we've kind of built it back up again, slowly but surely. And it's meant that, like, my offer now is it's still kind of business, but we're focusing more on the lifestyle. Because one thing that's really important to me is the comfort and the stability. Yeah, I don't care about how much money I've got. I don't really need 7 figures to live my life. Quite happy in a pretty modest home. I've got my wee girl. Also, that happened as well. My wee girl moved in to test my systems to see if I could work a business with having a child. So that happened as well, which I love having her around. I've got my home, I've got my little girl, I've got my car, like to go for drives, like to go for hill walks, can see my friends. I don't need 7 figures, I don't need 8 figures, I don't need 9 figures. So I've got a decent income that allows me to live the life that I want. And I get to work from home, I get to go for hill walks whenever. So I have got a life that allows me to live the life that I want. So that's what I built over the last 3 months, 4 months, 3 to 4 months. And the way I've done that is with 2 offers. I don't want to get all businessy in this one because this one's more about the Saturn transit, but I've got 2 offers. I have my inner circle, which is a coaching container, where we use manifestation and astrology to sort of do what I've done, to go from having a life that's systems are falling apart round about you, and life's falling apart round about you, to having stronger systems, to having been able to manifest a lifestyle and not just manifesting money, because that's when you're chasing, you're manifesting money. You may get money, but it's not long lasting. Whereas when you manifest the lifestyle and the things that you have, you get so much more benefit. But I like to help my clients do it so that they're balanced. We use astrology. We use techniques to be able to balance the nervous system, to be able to work with the nervous system. So all the mistakes that I have made over the last 15 years and the last 5 months, to be fair, when I was trying to build a business from freeze, like, that is what my inner circle does. Yeah. We get you from that situation where you've not got the systems, you've not got the life that you desire, to having that life you desire. And I'll work with you one-to-one for as many months as it takes. Then I've got my intensives, which are more astrology readings. And we can look at your business, we can look at your chart to answer anything that you have got going on right now that you just need a little bit of guidance with as well. So we've got the intensives, and they're my 2 offers. I've got a maximum of 25 slots for that. So for my inner circle. So that's never going to get heavy for me. And I think that's where I am. This is the first time I'd actually say I've got an offer that lights me up. Yeah. I've had offers in the past. I've done loads of things in the past, but this is the first time I've had one. I'd say, I love this. I can see the work that I'm doing and the help that I'm able to give to people. And I'm like, I love this. I love being able to help people go from that, where I was burnt out and broken state, to being able to have that life with the comfort and the stability, and knowing that if they don't have to worry about a Saturn return or anything like this. Because even at the end of that, like, I was like, if I ever have to go through Saturn and Pisces again, I'm going to scream, which I will. In the next 30 years, I will have to, if I'm still here. But this has kind of been my story to where I have been. If you want to join in our circle, the doors are opened for the next month. So, like I said, I don't know how many spots I'll have left by the time you see this video, but there's 25 slots in total. So you can come over to Instagram at JLliott Life, or you can use the links in the description if you want to check out Inner Circle. But yeah, that kind of shows you exactly what Saturn gets up to when he comes into a sign. Does it always end up as painful or as hard? Or like, no. Some houses are just not as noticeable as the sixth house is. Yeah, that's your daily routines. That's your work you do on a daily basis. I think it's one of the harder transits. But Saturn is a tough one. It's a taskmaster. But at the end of the day, he's testing your sustainability. And he's doing it so you at the other end of it. Because now looking back over the last 2 years, I can say, well, if that never happened, I wouldn't be here. Where I have got the comfort, I've got the roof over my head, I've got the house that I love, I've got my daughter with me 24/7, and I can go and live, like go for lunch, see the people that matter the most to me, go for hill walks, landscape photography, do the things that actually light me up, as well as having this business where I get to sit and talk to you as lovely people on every single week, which lights me up as well, because I always wanted content to be a part of my business. So that would never have happened without these stuff happening, without me actually putting me first. Yeah, actually calming my nervous system the fuck down. So I hope this video's been helpful. I hope it has. Like, if there's anything that if you're going through a tough Saturn transit as well, let me know. Let me know how it's been for you. Talk to me in the comments if there's anything you need. And like I said, inner circle, I don't know how many spots there are by the time you see this video, but come and speak to me, see if how many slots there are. It is opened at the moment, and if you want, you can book intensives. If you're like, I don't know if I want to work like long term yet, but I definitely want to try before I buy. That's a good use for intensives, yeah. But it's also if you're just wanting some quick, let's look at my chart, let's look at my business. That's what an intensive is good for as well. So come and speak to me. I'll leave all the details down below. And have an awesome day. Have an awesome week. If nobody's told you this week, I'm super proud of you for showing up for yourself and showing up for your business. Have an awesome week.